Hey guys, Josh here to let you know that InterBrews now has a Patreon page. That's right, you can lend your support to the podcast that's been going 7 years strong, bringing you the best and brightest of the craft beer scene here in Houston and beyond. And as a bonus, as a Patreon subscriber, you can get exclusive episodes of the show. That's right, we'll be doing some special interviews and episodes just for you, our supporters. So thank you so much. If you've loved the show, which I hope that is you if you're listening, then head on over to patreon.com/interbrews or interbrews.com/Patreon or anywhere you see the link. Head on over and lend us your support so that we can keep bringing you the show and make it bigger and better than ever. We appreciate it. Now, on to the show.
The following is a presentation of Stewed Productions.
Hey, this is Chris from Craft Beer Cellar Cypress, and you're listening to InterBrews.
This is InterBrews.
And there we go. All right, you good? How's that mic? We just kind of
it's good, all good. You hear me all right?
Yeah, just maybe a little closer to you. There, Mike, will you adjust the mic, please, Mike? Thanks, Mike. Chris Swayze, Craft Beer Cellar. That's where we're at and who we're with, and in the opposite order there. You have a beautiful place here, Chris.
Thank you very much, man. Glad to finally get you guys out here to check it out. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah. How long have you been open now?
Oh, man, we're probably going, we're about to hit 4 months.
Okay. Really? So in 4 months, though, I cyber stalked you while you were setting up, building out, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, that took a while.
So initially, there's multiple locations of Craft Beer Cellar, correct?
Yes.
Where is the original?
It originated in Massachusetts.
Okay.
It's all franchise stuff. So there's two in our area here, one downtown Houston.
Okay.
And then us, and different ownership.
Okay. So there. Cool.
Now we are the very first craft beer cellar anywhere to also get the brew pub license. So we're the first to do in-house brew.
So jumping ahead in the story, it gets exciting, everybody. So that's a teaser. Now we flash back. You see, it's like at the beginning of the movie, you see kettles with fire, and I don't know, maybe I have electric, but then and fermenters bubbling and stuff, and then we flash back to the very beginning. So, how did this all come? How did you get here? How did all this come about?
Well, I met the owners of this location through some bottle share friends, and we became friends. And when this came up on their radar, they asked me if I wanted to come on board. I'd been a store manager with Specs for the last few years, and it took me honestly about 10 seconds to make the decision to jump.
Okay, so for those who have not had the pleasure of being here, you have the cases. What do you call these? I guess you'd call them not cases. Do you call those cases on the wall, the refrigerated cases? Or
well, I've got 10 refrigerated doors.
Okay.
So we're able to sell to go.
Yeah.
Or on premise, off premise. So
cool.
Love having everything kind of all wrapped up into one little package.
Yeah, it's a really cool spot. I mean, if you're a beer lover, you'll walk in and you'll be like, I found my place.
Well, thank you.
It really does just kind of. If you need it to go, if you need it, you want to come hang out, there's plenty of places here to. I imagine you get a pretty good group of people. Cypress has been in need of good places like this.
Oh, we've developed a very nice group of regulars, and I see new faces all the time as well. So it's just getting better and better.
Okay,
got a lot of things planned going forward for this year too to make it a lot of fun around here.
Okay, if you need to grab the phone, we can pause, or if you just want to let it go to. Do you have like one of those little tape deck answering machines? I wish those were still. I was trying to explain it to my daughters the other day. It's like we used to have a thing. It's called. Because we were listening to a song by Electric Light Orchestra, and it's the song Telephone. You don't know? No? Don't follow? We'll listen to it after the show, Mike.
I know it.
Yeah, thank you. And it talks
I'm old
about,
enough to know it.
Yeah, and in the song, the lyrics are he just let it keep ringing and ringing and ringing, and his heart was breaking because he knew she was there, but she wouldn't pick up the phone. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I had to explain to my daughters, like, okay, back in the day, you would call somebody, and you would get a ring, and it would just keep ringing and ringing and ringing. There were no voicemails, and if they had a machine, that's because they, maybe they had some extra money, had a machine, would record little tapes, and you would try to do a really crafty, message if you were cool. Or if your dad did it, it was really, boring. And there was a lot of space between the time he was done saying whatever he had to say and then the time he hit stop on the record or whatever. So there's long space and then the beep. Or it would get a busy signal, or it'd just keep ringing if they weren't picking up. So people try to ignore it. And I was like, 7 rings was protocol. You give them 7 rings. Sometimes 5 if you're in a hurry. You don't really want them to answer. Anyway. But you don't want to seem too anxious. I was like, you want to pick up on like the 2nd or 3rd ring. You don't want to seem too anxious. Startling on that first ring, Mike. You remember that? No?
A little bit, yeah. I do.
All right.
I remember. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So anyway.
I don't know the song, but I know what you're talking
You
about.
don't know the song? I've been really digging on some.
It's fine. It's fine. I don't care about music right now.
Okay, fine. Great songs though. You know the song. Have you seen? What's the movie? The Marvel movie. They're in the space.
I don't watch Marvel movies.
Yeah, you do. What's the one? The Guardians of the Galaxy has the best soundtracks. Anyway, sorry, Chris. I have to ask real quick before we get into this. People are wanting to know. Any relation to Patrick?
Distantly, yes.
Really?
Yes.
Isn't he from Texas?
Yeah, we're all kind of from Mississippi.
Okay.
Originally, it's kind of where our people settled in.
Okay.
But yes, he was a distant relative of mine.
Okay. Where in Mississippi? I've got family in Mississippi. Do you know?
My people are from. Let me see, Tupelo to Jackson to Oxford.
Oh, that's the same area that my family's from. We may be related.
That's cool.
Do we look similar? We're family. We are now. All right. So when I look out, I see, well, one, you got the beers on tap, and then you've got all the cases of beer to buy to go. When you're deciding what you're going to put on tap, what's the thought process? Because I see a lot of good beers. Some you can get. Well, no, some I've seen out and about, some I have not. And what's the method?
Well, I try to do it by style as much as possible, with popularity playing a big part into it. Mm-hmm. I mean, as you can see, I've got a few hazy IPAs up there with Northeast style seem to be what's really rolling right now. So I've always got an emphasis on that. Try to keep a nice balance. I'm pretty careful when I look at what kegs I want to put up there, especially if it's if I'm bringing in things from out of our area, from national breweries. Mm-hmm. I mean, those are the things that I have to pick and choose really well, just because there are so many good local options now, and you don't want things sitting on your taps for too long.
Is there a rule? Does it go by style? Like for a NEPA, I would guess you want to go through it quicker than.
Oh yeah, well it's gotten to the point where I rarely even have to go out of our area to find really good NEPA options. I mean, I will get stuff from NOLA. Probably the farthest I get anything brought in for as far as a NEPA would be from either New Orleans, obviously Parrish, so Louisiana to Austin to Dallas, Fort Worth area for most of my New Englands.
Yeah.
I mean, for the vast majority of them, at least. There's so many good options here with local breweries alone that
Bob
really
Brew House is making some killer ones.
Outstanding.
Ingenious.
I've got a good relationship with both of with all 3 of those breweries, so I've been able to get some really, really good beers. Really good beers from them, and B52. You can't forget them as well. I was one of the fastest kegs we went through when we first opened up was I want to say one of their summer wardrobe series. It was just amazing to see how fast that went. Till Parrish, and then Ghost in the Machine blew out of here faster than I've ever seen anything pour.
What was the from the time you tapped it to the time it blew?
A little under 3 hours for 3 kegs.
Wow.
So it was. It was impressive for our size of place.
Were those slims, I'm guessing?
Yeah, they were. That's all they were offering us at first was, and I'm hoping to get a half barrel option on that. It's forward. If anybody's listening from Paris or Silver Eagle, I'd like a half barrel option.
Man, that's pretty impressive. I mean, not only the fact that people were drinking them that fast, but that's some good risk dexterity for all the tap.
Well. I've really never seen in the years that I've been in the beer business even before this. I've never seen as high as a brewery launch that was as highly as anticipated as this parish launch was incredible, because we were towards the end of the week. You know, they'd already done a whole bunch of events before ours, and we were still slam packed in here for the entire event and went through almost everything we had.
Yeah, it was impressive because, you know, when you talk about, we have so many good local brewers, and it's so true. Like, you know, I don't try a lot outside of the Houston area that much at all. I kind of made it a rule, like self-discipline, I guess. Only try what, you know, when I go to Austin, just drink Austin beers, or when I go to Dallas, just drink Dallas beers, because there's so much in Houston. I don't have enough time or liver capacity to get around to all the new beers and stuff that's coming out. It's you got to pick and choose your spots really, really well.
Yeah, I am starting to take a look at some of the breweries between, like, I'd say the San Antonio area and up through Austin and even up through Dallas that don't have distribution, that I am looking at maybe picking up kegs from out of our market going forward,
cool.
too, to bring in a few different things that I know are very high quality that really need to get a little bit of play here.
Yeah, we had Marcus from Weathered Souls. He's doing some collaboration with Ingenious and some other guys coming up.
They're one of the people I've spoke with on the. We're looking to take a trip up there pretty soon.
Yeah. Oh, are you going to drive? Do you need somebody to, like, keep your back seat warm? If you need me, just holler at me.
You got it.
Yeah, that's the thing, is there's so much good stuff going on all around us. You know, it's 3-4 years ago out here. It was just there was just nothing.
Oh, really? I've lived out here for 12 years now, and there has been, yes, there has not been much going on out here, and the places that did open up for one reason or another weren't able to stick around for very long. Yeah. So it's kind of disappointing to see all that happen. Yeah, and then, but I don't know, something like everything has to get just right, and then when it does, you know, it just pops. So now Cypress is it's not what it used to be. You know, I say that to people all the time. People on social media, you got to love social media. But the Houston area, they'll kind of dog Cypress. It's like a bunch of farms and ranches, and that's not that anymore. No, it's not. Now that you've got the Bridgelands out here and all this area that keeps just building up, Town Lake and Fairfield. I meet more and more people all the time that have moved here from other areas, and they want good beer options, and luckily we're in a good spot to be able to bring it to them. Yeah, lo and behold, and I mean that's an understatement. You've got everything. I mean, you've got everything you could want. Like, it's really, seriously, there's nothing. I can't just gazing on the stock and see it, just knowing the labels and all that kind of stuff. You cover everything. Well, and one thing that I want to make sure people know is that it's going to be a constantly evolving situation here as far as taps and for packaged beer. I mean, what I have right now, I might not have 2 weeks from now. I might have totally different. I'm constantly looking to switch things up and bring in new items. Yeah, and I mean, that's just the nature of craft beer now. Oh yes, I've seen some of the articles and stuff about, you know, our flagships. Are they waning? And it's like, I don't know, that Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, and I see it over there. It's always going to be a great beer. This is my first. It was what changed my outlook on beer. And I think people will come back around to it eventually. Like, it's one of those things where there's all this awesome new stuff to try, but then there'll be a whole new generation of people that'll be like, oh, I've never tried that before, and it'll be new to them too. So, I don't know. Flagships. I mean, Mike, what do you think about flagships? Have any thoughts?
No.
Thanks for participating today.
Yeah, no.
What's the latest thing you homebrewed?
I don't know. I'll be brewing Friday.
What are you gonna brew?
I think I'm gonna try that apple pie, apple cinnamon saison.
Okay.
Kennedy. Yeah.
Yeah, you and Kennedy gonna brew. Y'all don't even ask me if I want to come.
No, we don't have to ask you.
But you don't. You've never. I hear you talking, and I'm like, oh, y'all are brewing, huh?
We still need to do our brew.
I know.
We gotta set something up.
Yeah, it's been a while for me.
I know.
Anyway, speaking of brewing, Chris, you have a brewery here. You have a brew house, a small. What was the size of your? We have one barrel system, Blickman, all electric. All electric. And then two, so it can 31 gallons per batch. Okay. And then we have two 31-gallon SS Brewtech fermenters. So we're able to be
fermenting 2 batches at once if need be.
Okay, so you've had one released here, right? Did I see that correctly? That you brewed one and for people to.
Oh yes, we did our Stove Top batch one is kind of a combo East Coast West Coast style IPA, kind of semi hazy, really easy drinking IPA at 7%.
Okay, how did all that do you have a brewing background? Did you?
I don't.
You don't brew?
I'm not the guy that does the brewing.
Who does the brewing?
We've our owner has been into to brewing. Our owner Justin Crane has been into brewing for quite a while, and he's got a guy that's been a lifelong friend of his named Evan Martin that is kind of our head brewer right now, and we're going to do also a bunch of collaboration beers with people I've already spoken with. Breweries around town are interested in coming in and doing a little bit of stuff with us going forward also.
And where's it at? Where do you guys brew at?
We have it's in this kind of back room behind this.
On the other side of the TVs
yes,
there?
Yes, right behind where the TVs are.
Yeah, we probably should have gone to take a gander at that before the show started. So but we'll look when we're done. That's fine.
Okay.
How as you're moving forward, how often are you planning on brewing and?
Well, we're brewing again this coming Monday, and it's going to be a full blown NEPA style, very very hazy. So really looking forward to it. Been really happy with this one, so I'm really looking forward to the next one. We're hoping to keep the bar kind of high for us.
So, I guess that was the that was the design going into this, right? Was to get the brew pub license.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The way that where our ownership group was able to tie it all in together was a really nice piece of work, because when you think about it, we have pretty much all of it covered right now with on-premise, off-premise, and brew pub. There's really not much that we don't have covered as far as beer goes.
So how does that work? You have to have the different licensing, or do you have to have a...
It's actually under 2 different... it's we're a Craft Beer Cellar franchise, but we are technically under the Stove Top Brewing LLC, which is our brewery label.
Okay, so it's like
that's actually a very small, exclusive, self-distributed brewery back there in the back.
Okay, that just happens to be in this building.
Yes.
Oh, I see. It's all about the nuance, Mike.
Yeah.
It's all about the nuance. See, we could your garage, we could get the LLC, turn it into TD Mike's Brew Pub. Oh, maybe. Cool. I don't know about your neighbors.
I don't want to. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think your neighbors would be cool with that?
Yeah,
Having people all hours of the day and night hanging out in your neighborhood?
They wouldn't care.
There's probably regulations as far as...
in the neighborhood.
Right in the
dead smack in the middle of a residential.
Does your HOA allow for that?
Probably not.
Yeah. They probably don't. Most HOAs probably don't have anything about... Probably can't run a business.
Typically.
At your house.
Right.
Yeah.
But probably don't have anything specifically about a brewery in the HOA guidelines.
So you said this is a brew pub? So is that the food? Or no?
Well, we don't have an on-site kitchen, but we've got a nice little arrangement with the Mexican food place down here at the end, Romero's Los Brazos, where I've got some of their menus and they deliver. People can call down and order and they just deliver it right over. Plus, people can bring in whatever food they like.
Okay.
And we are also working on some food truck options too.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and you got the cool outdoor area here. This is a
little breezeway there.
Yeah, it's this area here. We're on Barker Cypress, just past Queenston if you're coming from 290, and if you're coming from, what would be the other main street that way? 529?
Tuckerton. Or 529 or Tuckerton.
Yeah, you'd be on the right before you get to 290, or before you get to Queenston. But lots of restaurants and stuff popping up out here. So no shortage of options to come out and then you come hang out and meet some neighbors and new friends and that sort of stuff. What days are you open?
Oh, we're open every day of the week except Monday. Monday's kind of the day we brew and catch up on anything that has to be caught up on around here. But we're open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, noon to 10.
Okay.
Friday, Saturday, noon to midnight, and then Sunday, noon to 10.
Okay. That seems perfect. Especially for this area.
It seemed like it's worked out. We were open till when we very first opened our weekends. We were open till 11, and we realized pretty quickly that we had enough business still here to want to keep it open till midnight. But we're probably not going to ever extend it really past that. I don't want to really be a 2 a.m.
That's a whole nother
beer bar,
thing.
whole nother animal.
Yeah. Well, once you close down, how long does it take you to lock up and?
Oh, it's really not too bad. I think we're here about an hour afterwards, so it's really not too bad.
Okay, yeah. Working past midnight is a pain in the butt, and I've done it.
Long time.
Yeah, 20 years.
Yeah.
However, since I've been working.
Yeah.
First job was at a Subway, and it stayed open until 2 a.m., and it was the dumbest thing ever. But you would get everybody, when the bars closed, everybody would come by, and you were just cleaning everything up because you're trying to get ahead, and then there was those, 7 or 8 drunk people that just, hey, man.
Make a mess for you.
Yes, it was the worst. So then you didn't get out till 3:30, something like that. All for that, $6 an hour or whatever it was back in the day.
That's right.
And it was Subway, so it was, low self-esteem food. That's where you go when your lunch has lost all dignity. You go to Subway. I don't know. Sorry, they're not a sponsor, and I'm sorry, Chris, if you're a really big Subway.
I'm really not.
What do you dig on as far as beer styles and that sort of thing? What really?
Well, I'd say I'm always gonna be a hophead. I mean, and I will always like the big, dank West Coast style IPAs. Will always be my favorites. I mean, I do like this juicy kind of Northeast style, but the big hop bombs are always gonna be my go-tos. Stouts, porters, second. Easily that would be my second favorite, and sour and tart styles have kind of picked up into that third spot for me.
Okay.
Honestly, I've really gotten to the point where probably Gozas and Berliner Weiss kind of got my interest going on the sours, and now I've gotten into a lot more of the big barrel aged stuff and things like that.
There's so many good ones made now too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Real ales, Goza. Who else? Brash had a really good Goza.
Brash Distill. I mean, yeah, there's some really, really good Gozas out there.
Yeah.
I've got a Berliner Weiss on tap right now from Untitled Art, which is just fantastic.
Where are they from?
They're out of Wisconsin, but I think they do a lot of gypsy brewing. They do a lot of collaborations with breweries all over the place. I think their collaboration with Angry Chair is probably what put them over the top. Yeah, that or the one they did with Bottle Logic. Mm. Those are two good names to be doing collaborations with.
Yeah, who I had a Berliner from Live Oak. They're just good too.
Oh, I haven't had theirs yet, so
Yeah,
I'm going to need to try that because I've everything I've had in that kind of German and wheat based style has been fantastic.
Yeah, the Live Oak, like just a classic approach.
Oh yeah,
and delicious. I just picked up a 6-pack of their pills because it's just that I just needed it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It didn't. I watched a documentary about. It was an American guy that went over to Germany. It's on Amazon. I don't remember what the name of the documentary, but it was like on German beer culture, and he went around to the different areas. He started at Oktoberfest, took his parents there. His parents were probably 65 or whatever, and went to Oktoberfest, and it was just like it's a huge party. It's not like a real like small town beer scene in Germany. It's like the big corporate party, and then he goes off to the other towns and things like that.
That's what I'd like to experience. Would be like the culture in some of the smaller towns because they all have their own. They've all got their own brewery.
Yeah.
So it'd be really awesome to spend a little bit of time doing that.
Where was it? Leipzig? People who speak German are probably just screaming at their phone right now. Leipzig? Is that, they had like 300 breweries in a town of like 7,000 people.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was, and they're all like real small and real classic, and some of them are been around since like 1800s and things like that. But just brewing all types of different styles. But Live Oak, their Berliner Weiss is just a great, clean, straight, classic. It's kind of like what Boiler Room was when St. Arnold was doing that, and then it morphed into Raspberry AF. Which, by the way, Mike, Valentine's Day. What is today's date as we record this
12.
show? So 2 days to Valentine's Day. You're still in that time where Valentine's Day is a thing, right? You don't have to get something for Kate?
I will, but I don't have to.
Yeah, you do. I'm just saying, if you want to do something special, Raspberry AF, a great Valentine's Day beer, pair with a little chocolate.
She doesn't like chocolate.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you like chocolate?
I do.
You should pair it with chocolate. But raspberry, it just goes great. Not goes up. It goes great. It's especially like just some dark chocolate. Just put a little like piece of dark chocolate between your cheek and gum, and then take a little sip
of the beer.
Raspberry AF, and there you go. Good call there. Yeah, it goes really well. Or here's another. I have a recipe that for smoked porter chocolate pancakes.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then
Sounds delicious.
They are. Yeah. You put the dark chocolate chips in it and stuff like that.
Write it up.
Okay. But you can pair that with some raspberry AF, and it works. So raspberry AF and chocolate. Light beer. I don't know, the dark chocolate. I like the darker chocolate better. Mike's taking pictures as we. That's the one thing we always forget about, Chris, is all the social media posts and all that kind of. It's like you gotta do it just to. That's where people are, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's where we're working to develop our thing here is through social media. I mean, it seems like where you're getting 90% of your customers.
Yeah. So how do you balance that? I mean, if you're running the day-to-day operations of a place like this, so you got to keep beer orders in order, deliveries. You got to keep the lights on and do all the business stuff and payroll and all that kind of stuff. But yet, on top of that, you have to be like your own media company.
Actually, I'm lucky enough to for the time being, I've got people that are helping me do the social media stuff. Even though that we're trying to get it set up to where I can do it a little bit more real time from here, I guess. Mm-hmm. I'd like for that to be the case at some point. I guess I can find time to do it. It's really not, it's not quite as difficult as it was when I was with Specs because I had a lot more, I had more employees.
Yeah.
There's 3 to 4 of us here. You know what I mean? So kind of like the keep it simple aspect of it now. So it hasn't been, but keeping the beer is, dealing with all the different distributors and self-distributed. I mean, there's, I want to say 6 different distributors I deal with, and then probably another 5, 6, 7, 8 self-distributed breweries I deal with too. So yeah, keeping it all lined up sometimes is a little tricky, but not too bad.
Okay. I was going to, I talk to a lot of brewers, and the smaller guys typically do self-distribution. It makes sense, especially if they've got the brew pub license and all that kind of stuff. It makes most sense for what they're set up for. But I guess, when you come to the retail side, the sales side here, dealing with more, you just have to be organized, I guess, right? It's just, I don't know. When I look at a place, like I went to a restaurant in this area, and they had all beers from one distributor, and you could tell. You're like, okay. I mean, some of it was the macro stuff too, and you're like, all right, let's see what they did there. And to me, I'm like, okay, they don't have a emphasis on beer. Beer's just kind of, it's a thing they do, but it's not an emphasis. So I don't know if there's a question in there, but it's more of a statement, I guess, of just you can tell the places that have an emphasis and a love for the beer, but it doesn't come without a cost or an effort cost or a calories burned cost, I guess, right?
Now, keeping there's always things you can improve on. I mean, if you don't think you can improve on things, then you're probably not going to do very well.
Yeah.
And so yes, there are things that I'm always constantly trying to tighten up, trying to keep my keg numbers right, because I want everything. When people show me that's the hard part about it. The really hardest part is that when distributors or even the self-distributed breweries, when they got something like Baba Brew House, for instance, or Ingenious, when they've got a new offering, I want it. And there's only so much you can have.
You sound like me in the beer aisle.
Yes, no, that's exactly what it's like. It's no different it's probably worse on my end. I mean, when I was with Specs, I had it was limited, It was all set by people at the downtown, the flagship store downtown for Specs, and what you were getting was all, now it's on me. So being able to say no going forward, every now and then is probably going to be something I'm going to have to learn how to do. But yeah, because like I just said, I want it. I want it all. I want everything good I can get.
Not to talk down on specs. They do a fine job. They have a lot of. They do a lot. Tons of wine and spirits and all that kind of stuff. But I have noticed, and maybe it's just part of the evolution of everything out here. It used to be that you would go to the specs, and they were the only place around, and they had a very diverse craft beer selection. Now I wonder almost if they can't, it's nothing like here, and I wonder if they just can't keep up with how fast everything, because they are so big now and that sort of thing. If that's the nature of that, or I don't know.
What I started seeing happen probably about maybe 3 or 4 years ago was there was a lot more options on the shelves. So you were seeing a lot of pacing back and forth, and people trying to figure out what they were going to do, and then they would go fall back to an old steady or something like that. I was always wondering how it was going to happen, because the more options that you get, then the more issues that you're going to run into as far as dates and things moving fast enough. And that's a real challenge for them, because people expect them, it's at least at the bigger stores, they expect you to have what they're looking for.
Right.
And it's just not always possible. I mean, it's not even possible for me. I get left out a lot of things. So there's a lot of special release beers that are allocated only to specs and to HEBs, and so I've got to work my way around that. And typically I get offerings for draft on some of those products, but there are certain items that if you're not carrying every SKU that a particular brewery has, then you're going to get left out in the cold on when let's say some of the special release comes out.
Okay. Yeah, I see how that works.
Allocation. It's all about allocation.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess you just have to play to your strengths. You're nimble. You've got the ability to, you don't have to order. I guess they probably have a minimum amount they have to order to.
Oh yeah, there's a lot that plays a lot with that. And one thing, you're never going to see it as you look around our operation now. You're never going to see a case stack of anything. Mm-hmm. I'm not into over ordering case stacks of products sitting on the ground. I mean, especially when I can typically get a delivery from that distributor twice a week if I need to.
Yeah, keep it fresh.
No need to keep it fresh and keep it moving.
Yeah. That always wonder about that. I'm like, how fast is that beer moving? It's a delicious, could be a delicious beer. But I don't know that people drink as much beer as I do, and there's so much variety.
There's some dust collectors out there. Yeah. I mean, there's some stuff that, and it was really sad to see, but there was certain products that I was starting to see sit on shelves a lot longer, packaging that hadn't been changed in years, and got to evolve. I mean, even on the brewery side and on the retailer side as well. If your packaging starts to get a little stale, you better get something figured out and get the same beer in a different package moves a little bit better for a little while, but it's going to be interesting going forward here to see how the middle size guy does. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because the big guys are always going to do all right, and then the small guys that self-distribute, that are only looking to distribute to a small footprint. Right. Not too far from their brewery. And then you got that middle guy line up right there, and that's where a lot of products that I've started to see not move as quickly. I've had to slowly phase out some of my favorite breweries just because I can't have things sitting on shelves. And one real challenge is also making sure that, I've got a big HEB right across 290 over here from me, and then another big HEB down in the Fairfield area. And they both carry a lot of beer. Mm-hmm. So the challenge is for me is to find some items that they don't carry. Yeah. And HEB's got a lot of buying power. So typically if they want it, they're going to get it. But, I'm able to find those little
smaller
Absolutely. And that's what my focus is going forward, is trying to find more and more things that kind of set us aside from a specs, or the specs out here at least, and an HEB. So it's like I said, constantly evolving.
Yeah, but there's definitely that area where they can't do what you do, and you wouldn't want to try to compete with them volume wise, right?
You can't.
But they can't carry the variety and the smaller stuff that it isn't worth their time and that sort of thing. So it's just different models, and so there's room for both, obviously, and I think you can actually, them being there, I don't think is a detriment if they're carrying a bunch of the year round bigger names and brands, that takes the burden off of you to have to do that, and you can focus on the smaller stuff.
Well, the funny thing is, there's no hiding anything from any of us, because I'm friends with all of the beer and wine department managers at the HEBs around here, and they all come in here and hang out. And so we all know what everybody's got, and so it's kind of funny.
Yeah. No, I know I talk about the one by my house a lot. David, he does.
David's great.
He's great.
He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, he does a good job. So but he doesn't have any beer on tap.
Nope.
Because when I go in there and have a beer in the middle of the aisle, he gets mad. It's like security and all kinds of people just come. They just don't understand. So, but I can just come here and it's fine. You're very welcoming. I'm looking up now. I see 2 beers from Ingenious on tap. Ingenious, man, those guys. Mad Science, Baba Brew.
Blown up.
Yeah, just mad science.
Blown up.
And then you got I would say the other end of the spectrum, Bearded Fox here. Local guys that. I love those guys to death too, and they're kind of more on that I guess traditional side, but their beers are so good.
Well, that Aunt Rose is one of my most consistent selling beers.
So
it's one of 3 beers that I've got up here that are kind of I would say I have 3 staple beers up here right now. And that is Bearded Fox Aunt Rose, because I have regular customers that love that beer.
Yeah.
And one of the owners lives down the road from me. A good friend of mine, Marcus, lives down the road, so he's in here so often. So I'm like, yes, he brings the bike up here, and you can hear. I know when he's pulling in way beforehand, because I can hear it coming. It's an awesome bike. And then I've got my other 2. I would say right now, at least, are Live Oak Hefeweizen, because it's really hard to top that beer. Even though I'm probably going to be buying the Klaus Brewing Hefeweizen as well.
See, I would love to try those 2 side by side, just to get 2 different approaches, and even like No Labels it's like they're different.
Yes, absolutely.
I would, I don't know how many people would want to nerd out on Hefeweizens with me, but
I would
just to try them all sides, just to compare and contrast and all that.
Those are my favorite.
Yeah.
And then the third beer that I would say is pretty much a staple is the Lone Pint Yellow Rose, because they have such a huge following, people that love that particular beer, and it's a great beer. It's one of the beers that really started. When you think about it, it's one of the first beers. I remember people coming in to buy up as much as they could when it hit the shelf, so they could finish their trades up.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what it was about that beer. I mean, it's a smash beer. Single malt, single hop. Mosaic. It's just good. But as good as it is, I'm not even sure it's my favorite Lone Pine beer. I think 667 is really good.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
I also like Jabberwocky.
Yes.
What I like about that brewery, though, and why I like having events with them, is that they are very, very supportive of their events. They've always got people out for the events. People come out and see them, and they're fun.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate the way they do things.
Yeah, Blake's one of my favorite.
They've got their beer garden open out there now.
Yeah.
Too. So one of my bartenders is actually managing the little beer garden out there. So I'm going to be losing her for some hours, but she's on to good things out there.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing, is it's close enough to where you can go enjoy it, but it's not so close. Like you're in like how far apart are you? Like 30 minutes apart from here?
Oh yeah. No, that's we got a nice little distance. What I really love about this area now is the fact that there are different breweries and things like that that are popping up out here, with Wicked Boxer, and then Klaus and Twisted Acre and Bearded Fox, and then Stove Top,
Yeah.
as well. So it's the area's picking up
So Stove Top is the official name
for our
in-house
beers, Stove Top Brewing.
Okay. And all right, so just the one beer that you served the other day, and then
Well, we did. So the first beer that we brewed back there that was going to go up was the Sierra Nevada Resilience IPA.
oh yes.
But we had a carbonation issue
Okay.
with it. The way we carbonated it didn't work out. So it was all the other aspects were there. It was just it never carbonated up. So it was flat. We let people sample it for a couple of days up on tap, and then pulled it off. And I think we just wrote Sierra Nevada a check to help out with for the fire victims, which was what was all about to begin with.
Right.
And then we got the issues worked out before our second for our batch 1 release, which was the first official Stovetop release, and much happier with that.
That's cool.
It's been flying out of here, so I've been really happy to see that.
Okay. Now that is exciting. I'm looking forward to, just the fact that you're able to, if a batch isn't quite up to, spec or however you wanted it to turn out, it's, a smaller, you're more like it's a nimble. So you're able,
Absolutely.
Able to let it go, and it's not such a big deal, and it's not, everything. You've got all the other beer sales and everything else. So
absolutely. And that's one thing that we've all agreed on, is that if we don't all agree that it's a beer that's worth really going up there and having our name on it, that we're just not going to do it.
yeah.
Plus, we will be able to find our beer at the downtown Houston Craft Beer Cellar too. The owner down there is committed to buying kegs from us.
Okay.
So you will see some Stovetop Brewing.
And where's
down
that location at the?
there.
I
I've
have to look it up.
yeah, okay. I haven't physically been there. I talked to the guy a lot, but I just have not actually been down there. I avoid downtown like just for my specs days alone, just having to drive down there for meetings and things like that.
Okay.
The one time, every meeting I had to be down there was like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, coming from Cypress, and
you got to leave at 6 a.m.
Then the one day I had another manager that rode with me going to a meeting down there. I was all excited because we go on the HOV, and then a bus broke down on the HOV lane, so we sat there for an hour and a half. So yes, it's I don't like going downtown.
Okay, fair enough.
That's
check it
that's
out.
the cool thing about now out here. We put in you said 12 years out here. I've been
Yes.
out here since 2001, I guess.
18.
And I don't have to go into town if I don't want to, and that's a beautiful thing.
That's really nice.
Because then when you go into town at 10 a.m. versus like 8 a.m., it makes a big difference. And if they ever finish 290 is like an abusive relationship. You're like, okay, I'm going to give you one more shot, and then you get there and it smacks you around, abuses you.
Well, once the food options catch up out here to the amount of people that are moving out here, it'll be really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still lacking of much variety out here as I would like.
Yeah, it'll get there, though.
I think so. I think so. There's a lot of expansion going on out here.
Mm-hmm.
People that did most of the woodlands are involved in what's going on out there in Bridgeland. So
Yeah, and they're just now, all the talks are about just on the other side of 290, like Mason's going to be extended. So eventually Mason will tie all the way into South Mason down in Katy, and then all the way down to wherever it goes. But they haven't even started there, so
every road out here is going to have to be expanded again. So traffic's never going to let up.
we're in like single, like pods. Oh yes. Well, Chris, we don't want to keep you from opening the doors. Tell you what we're going to do, Mike, if you're up to it, and if Chris, if you'll give the blessing, we'll pause and we'll get some beers, and we'll talk about the beers we drink while Chris does actual work, and we'll just watch him and be spectators.
That sounds awesome. That sounds like a plan.
All right. Let's do it.
Well, thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, Chris, thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Everybody, Craft Beer Cellar Cypress here on Barker Cypress. If you're on 290 heading out of town, like maybe you're heading to Austin, and you started downtown, and you already you can't make it to Buc-ee's. You need to pit stop, exit Barker Cypress, take a left, and come have a beer. Or if you're just in the know out here in the Cypress area, come have a beer and try whatever's new from Stove Top or anything from around the area. And it's just a super inviting environment. And Chris, you got a little little piece of heaven in here. So
Well, thank you very much. And speaking of Buc-ee's, that's our restrooms. We use their restrooms as our measuring stick.
Oh,
so
man.
we try to keep our restrooms close to Buc-ee's quality. So if they're ever not, please let me know.
on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a hole in the ground, 10 being Buc-ee's, you guys are at a 9 3/4. I didn't see the bathroom.
Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate you.
All right,
Thank you.
Chris Swayze, do you want to grab a beer and we'll talk?
Yeah.
Are you ready to? Are you got your vocal cords all warmed up and all that kind of stuff? We'll get them warmed up. We'll take a look at the brew house and everything too. Just another 10 minutes. 10 minutes. You can spare that, right? You can do that? Okay. The nod from Mike will be BRB. All right, welcome back. In our hands, Stove Top batch number 1. And
We just saw where this Stove Top batch was brewed.
yeah, we took the tour of the brew house. Chris, what type of hops are in?
It's mosaic citra.
Okay, that's what I was
Mosaic
saying.
is
A lot of citrus flavor. I love it. It's got
It's good.
it's like a
Little chipmunk.
it's like a
Big chipmunk.
it's like a almost like biscuity with peach marmalade, or like some sort of fruit marmalade slathered on top. That's what I get. Some sort of biscuit, like light biscuit toast kind of thing. Not toast, but like, super light. Like you put the toaster on 2, 1.5, 2. Comes out just barely, just not soft anymore.
Yes.
And then you slather a little, some sort of fruit, like a citrusy, maybe like a orange peach marmalade kind of thing. Not peachy so much, but just definitely fruit, but not overly citrusy. But yeah, those mosaic and citra.
It's just the hops that they work well together.
Yeah, and they have a lot of that citrus flavor, but then it also has the
That's good.
yeah, that hoppy, like, I don't know, like when you open that fresh pack of hops. The
And see, everybody knows. Well, that I'm not a big hop head, but
Are you not? Are you sure?
like
Perhaps
Chris
you
said,
are.
this is very drinkable,
Mm-hmm.
and this is
What?
707, 7% beer,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
maybe too drinkable. Because this is
Is that a thing?
delicious.
Yes, it is
I mean,
delicious.
And like I don't really like IPAs, but this is
Yeah, maybe you do though.
maybe I do.
Maybe
You're
there's
right.
just a certain sector of
May-
IPAs you prefer more
well,
than others.
and actually no, maybe it's I've grown.
Well, there's that.
I've
But I
grown.
think the variety in IPAs are so big.
There are.
There's that meme going around where it has the Forrest Gump.
I mean,
and,
this one is good.
And what's
This one
like,
is good.
What was like Bubba? Remember the movie?
Bubba.
You remember he's
Bubba.
talking about shrimp,
Gumbo.
shrimp gumbo, barbecue
Jambalaya.
shrimp, medium shrimp, frost shrimp. You're talking about all the shrimp, right?
Beer, shrimp.
Well, now it's IPAs.
Mm-hmm.
We got West Coast IPAs, East Coast IPAs, NEPAs, black IPAs, white IPAs,
Yeah, there's hazy.
double IPAs,
Yeah.
triple IPAs,
Single.
just IPAs, English IPAs, American IPAs,
This one is good. Y'all need to get out here and try this one.
Smash IPAs,
Stove Top,
Stovetop
the
IPA.
Grain Cellar.
Mm-hmm. That's a great-
Cypress.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
It's good.
Beer
It's
Cellar.
good.
Beer Cellar. Craft Beer Cellar. I think you said the Grain Cellar. It's Preston's place over in Humber store. It's a different thing. Different show, bro. Different show. All right. Well, so you enjoy? I enjoy.
I enjoy.
All right.
Recommended.
Well, yes. So we won't bother you a whole lot with listening to us drink beer and just having Mike and I chat. You guys got to ride in the car with us for that. But let's see what's coming up on the show. Well, I've got some things in the works, people's anniversary parties and whatnots. Actually, Justin Engel, when we drove up today, he was making a delivery of Houston Cider Company. I believe it was their rosé.
Let's try it on the
cider.
shelf over there.
Yes. So talk to Justin. We're going to work that out, figure out when we're going to have him back on. Been in talks with, Cole Fox, right up the road in Chapel Hill. How's that smell? Been a lot of mouths on that, bro.
It smells great.
That No, I'm talking about your microphone that you just had your nose on.
Oh.
A lot of mouths.
I'm not worried about the microphone. I'm worried about the beer.
Okay. Well, you just had your nose. I'm just wondering how it smells. These microphones have been around. Anyway. All right. One more shout out for Craft Beer Cellar Cypress. I like that glassware. They did a class on glass etching here. I want to go talk to
Really?
Chris about that. Yeah, because
Is that etching or?
that's etching. Yeah, it's like opposite of. It's like sandblasting.
Yeah.
You know, they're super
I
crafty.
sandblasted back in junior high school.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That was the rumor going around.
You weren't in my junior high.
It's people still talk about it. Oh, you know Mike? Yeah. Well, dude, back in the day, he used to sandblast. He was big into sandblasting. Everybody knew.
I don't know.
It was back when it was really controversial to be into sandblasting.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, okay. That's just whatever. Dude, it's fine. It's fine. All right. Did the battery finally run out on the headphone amp, or did you turn it off? Are they working? Oh, the light. It's all about that light. Made the light burn out. All right. Well, we'll wrap it up here. It'll be a little bit of a shorter episode. We didn't ramble on forever. Speaking of ramble on, thank you. You're blinding me. I've been listening to a lot of Led Zeppelin lately. It's great. Just driving around listening to Led Zeppelin. All right. Thank you. All right. Well, we'll wrap it there officially. Craft Beer Cellar Cypress. Come try the Stove Top Brew, the batch number 1 while it's still on. You got to get up here quickly because I think Mike and I are going to drink the rest of it before we leave.
Boom.
Maybe. If not, there'll be some here. And if that's not available, hopefully something new. We did see the brew house. It's that 2-barrel Blickman. That Blickman equipment looks so sharp, man.
Gorgeous.
Right?
Gorgeous.
Just
I
shiny.
want one of those in my garage.
Maybe not that big, though, right?
That big.
2 barrels?
Yeah, why not?
I don't know. It's big. You'd have to get a transformer. You have to get Optimus Prime put into your house.
Make some calls.
Yeah. But no, I think electric brewing is the way to go with smaller brew setups, especially with this as efficient as it's become. Blickman, SS, who else? Spike, a bunch of different companies making some, like, home brewing equipment now is on a whole nother level. It's not, kettles that are welded together at home anymore in colanders.
It's on point.
Yeah, you can get these badass brew house setups. You can get your own bright tanks and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, all right. Well, we'll wrap it there. So for Chris and for Mike and for me, I'm Josh. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to this podcast. It's called
This is InterBrews.
The preceding has been a presentation of Stewed Productions.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed this episode of InterBrews. If you did, hey, show us some support. Go to our Patreon page, become a Patreon supporter, and there's exclusive interviews and episodes just for you. If you do that, if you've enjoyed the show, get a little more, and help us go on for another 7 years. It's been 7 years. We want to go on for 7 more. I guess that's a long time. 14 years for a podcast. Has anybody done that? I don't think so. Anyway, show your support if you'd like. We really appreciate it a ton, and exclusive shows. So thank you in advance, and we'll see you next episode of InterBrews.